Okay guys, rain, sleet, or snow, I am back with another crypto video. This first story here is again another Celsius update. The scammers that is Celsius. And it reads, Canadian pension fund takes $150 million hit from Celsius investment. CDPQ doesn't expect to get any of its money back, says CEO Charles Esmond. CDPQ, one of Canada's largest pension managers, has written off its $150 million investment in bankrupt crypto lender Celsius Network. Quote, "We knew there were challenges in regard to crypto assets, but perhaps we underestimated the challenges," said Charles Esmond, CEO of Caisse de dépôt et placement du Québec, said on Wednesday. CDPQ reported a $26 billion loss for the first half of the year, which amounts to a return of negative 7.9%, according to a press release from the firm. When CDPQ announced that it had added Celsius Network to its portfolio in October of 2021, in the middle of the crypto market's run to nearly $3 trillion market cap, Alexandra Sinet, the pension manager's chief technology officer, said in a press release that it was the world's largest crypto lender. Well, excuse me, it said the world's leading crypto lender. I misquoted that. At the time, Celsius had recently announced that it had $25 billion in assets under management and more than 1 million customers on its platform. But it was already facing scrutiny from regulators after receiving cease and desist letters from authorities in Kentucky, Texas, and New Jersey. After Celsius Network CEO Alex Mashinsky repeatedly assured customers that their funds were safe, and I remember that when they put out those statements in those videos, even around the time, with the whole Songbird fiasco, where they weren't giving us an update on if they were going to give us the Songbird that we were entitled to from doing the Flare snapshot on that platform, which is a mistake that I shouldn't have made. But nevertheless, the point, I'm gonna continue reading. After Celsius CEO Alex Mashinsky repeatedly assured customers that their funds were safe, the company froze accounts on June 12th. Now, thankfully, I took all my assets off of Celsius. I didn't have a whole lot on Celsius to begin with, but I did take it off. But I didn't take off the Songbird that I had. So the little bit of Songbird that I had on there is still there. And then for the time being, unfortunately, the Flare snapshot the Flare that I'm entitled to from participating in the snapshot, it would be directed there. That's why I'm really excited for this Flare governance vote where we can have our Flare redirected to another place, because obviously I want to just send it straight to my ledger. But continuing, it kept accounts frozen for 4 weeks while repaying $1 billion in outstanding loans from decentralized finance protocols Aave, Maker, and Compound. Then, on July 13th, the company filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection. Details about how the company was run leading up to the Chapter 11 bankruptcy filing have started to come to light. Yesterday, the Financial Times reported that multiple unnamed sources said Mashinsky told the Celsius Network investment team he would personally assume control of the company's trading in January. So again, it's going to be fascinating to just continue to see the fallout from Celsius and a lot of other platforms that were doing shady stuff behind the scenes. We can't officially say it's the downfall yet, because who knows? Ripple might actually come and buy Celsius. You never know. So again, it's still yet to be seen. But I mean, it's needless to say that I have a certain disdain for or a certain resentment for Celsius because of how a lot of this stuff has played out. As somebody who had an account on Celsius, and somebody who, unfortunately, I did the flare snapshot on Celsius, which is something that I wish I hadn't done, but it's still something that happened. And it still, again, was a valuable lesson, because that was really the only time I've done a snapshot on a platform instead of, through like my ledger. But it's neither here nor there, man. Next story here is a story about Coinbase. It reads, Coinbase has a serious insider trading problem. Study claims. This got to be like the Captain Obvious news of the day, man. But a trio of university researchers allege that 10 to 25% of Coinbase listings since 2018 were involved in insider trading. Of course it was. People called people like me conspiracy theorists for saying that there are whales manipulating the market, and there are people behind the scenes who are manipulating the market. They try to act like this is all in our head and we were all crazy. But so to people like me, this isn't surprising. Like, nothing about this is surprising. Like, come on, man. Like, what? Like, you think these employees and these people running the platform weren't trying to get ahead of the pump? But anyway, man, I'm gonna start reading the article. So, 3 finance researchers at the University of Technology in Sydney, Australia, claim that insider trading is systemic in the cryptocurrency industry. I'm sorry. In the cryptocurrency industry, and estimate that activity has taken place on up to 25% of Coinbase listing in the last 4 years. In a not yet peer-reviewed paper titled "Insider Trading in the Cryptocurrency Markets," Professor Esther Feliz-Vinis, Professor Talis Putnins, and PhD candidate Luke Johnson estimate that insider trading occurred on 10 to 25% of cryptocurrency listings on the San Francisco-based exchange between September 2018 and May 2022. The researchers claim this resulted in at least 1.5 million in ill-gotten profits. Quote, "Our findings identify cases that are yet to be prosecuted," unquote. Quote, they wrote. They further argue that the growing perception of insider trading in crypto may scare away potential investors and could, quote unquote, impede adoption of cryptographically secured ways of representing securities and other financial instruments, a perception that is largely supported by their findings. In terms of methodology, the researchers examined 146 Coinbase listings and tracked their prices 300 to 100 hours before each listing went live on the exchange to look for abnormal trading patterns of said assets on decentralized exchanges, DEXs, which do not require identity verification. From visual inspection, we note that there is an evident run-up pattern prior to the listing announcement starting at negative 250 hours, the researchers state. The run-up continues until the listing announcement, where we see a jump in price because of new information entering the market and traders reacting to the news. The run-up pattern we observe is consistent with the run-ups in prosecuted cases of insider trading in stock markets, they wrote. But opponents could argue that the paper paints with a wide brush, applying findings at Coinbase to the entire crypto industry as a whole. A source familiar with trading practices at crypto exchanges told Decrypt that the study jumps to conclusions without providing clear evidence that insider trading occurred or identifying specific wallet addresses that allegedly front-ran listings. So I'm gonna like cut it short right there, because that was like what I felt were the most important parts of the article. So again, I couldn't help myself but laugh. I couldn't help myself but to laugh, because the fact that like, I just thought it was kind of funny that they're saying, oh man, 3 researchers at a university have just figured out that there's insider trading. Like, what? Like, again, this is not a new concept. Like, many people have been talking about this for years, but I guess for a lot of people, they're not going to take it serious until somebody who they feel is credible, like some of these researchers at these universities, come out and say that their findings also coincide with what they call our conspiracy theories about, you know, like about the crypto industry, like having a lot of insider trading going on. So, I mean, so again, like I said, to me, in a weird way, I just found that really amusing. But something else that was kind of interesting to me here is the fact that they're implying that, oh, this might, you know, if they keep doing this, if this gets out of hand, this might scare off a lot of people, and it could impede adoption of cryptographically secured ways of representing securities and financial instruments, which is just them basically saying, oh, this could scare a lot of people off from adopting this new technology, which, yeah, I mean, that's partially true, but at the end of the day, it's not going to really scare the people off, especially when something becomes too big to fail. It's not, people are going to use it regardless. And they're trying to act like crypto's the only industry that's being heavily manipulated. Every industry is heavily manipulated. The housing market is completely rigged. Not to say the average Joe can't make money. You absolutely can. But like, let's not sit here and pretend like the housing market isn't rigged. It's absolutely rigged. It's absolutely manipulated. The traditional stock market is absolutely manipulated. Nancy Pelosi and her husband should clearly be in jail right now. But everybody's trying to turn a blind eye as if they're not participating in insider trading. Every industry is completely manipulated. So, and that's not stopping people from participating in these industries. The housing market is manipulated, but yet people still want to buy homes. It is what it is. The stock market is clearly manipulated. People still want to buy stocks or get in on the stock market to some degree. It didn't matter. So I don't think it's truly gonna stop adoption just because you have a bunch of shady people at these companies, manipulating things. So and again, I'm not trying to downplay the people at Coinbase for doing what they're doing. I think what they're doing is very nasty and evil, but I mean, it is what it is, like that. I just feel somewhat vindicated because, again, a lot of people try to act as if, oh, there's no such thing as whales doing this and that, and oh, no, they don't. Like, what are you talking? Like, and now you have all this proof coming out, more by the day, letting you know, hey, they're absolutely rigging this as much as they possibly can. Okay, so next thing I want to get into here, it's a post from Michael Branch, and it reads: the Fed wants all U.S. banks and financial institutions under their supervision to notify them of activities or if they are looking to engage in crypto-related activities. So to summarize, they just want more control. Next post is again another post from Michael Branch, and it reads: U.S. Senator Pat Toomey said whistleblowers had informed him that the FDIC was pressuring banks to stop providing services to crypto companies. So in other words, they're trying to just sabotage the crypto industry while it's still in a relatively early stage, so they could come in and so they could dominate. Because again, they're not going to try this stuff once JP Morgan goes public with their crypto ambitions. Again, there's been reports about JP Morgan and other big institutions wanting to get in, but once it becomes super mainstream to the point where you start seeing JP Morgan Chase crypto commercials, once you're at that point, these these organizations, I wanted to call them these gangs, these mafia gangs, but like these organizations that pretend like they care about us, they're not gonna try JP Morgan like this. I could almost guarantee it, because they're gonna be in on it, so they don't have to. JP Morgan got them in their back pocket either way. Next post here is a post from Peter Voss, and it reads: the judge grants Ripple's request to review videos of SEC officials. So again, it's actually an article attached to that. I'm not gonna get into that now, but again, as far as I'm concerned, this case is already over. I think Ripple clearly won, unless the SEC does some sort of nonsense behind the scene and completely rigs everything. It would almost be impossible for Ripple not to win this. Next post here is again from Michael Branch, and it says: the SEC accuses Ripple of advancing inconsistent arguments regarding Hinman emails. The SEC has asked the court to sustain its recent objections to the recent court orders related to the Hinman emails. So, in other words, the SEC is still trying to waste a lot of time. They don't have a case. They know they don't have a case, but they're still trying to waste time and just again, because the bigger goal here is to screw over investors. Regardless of the BS they try to put out to say, oh no, we're trying to protect. They're not trying to protect anything. They're only trying to protect their puppet masters at Wall Street who got them in their back pocket. And they're gonna have the nerve to say Ripple has inconsistent arguments, as if the SEC hasn't flipped and flopped like 18 million times when it comes to their position on crypto, when it comes to their position on the Hinman emails, when it comes to just any argument they make in this case. I'm gonna just relax. Next story to get into here. It's a story it's actually a study. The title of the study is Home Buyers Landed a Home in Today's Competitive Market, a 2022 study, it's a study from a website called Anytime Estimate. So I'm not going to go into the whole article, but there's several points that I want to get into, because I feel like a lot of people in crypto, they do also pay attention to like the housing markets. So, and again, I'm somebody who I also like have had experience, like, you know, when it comes to buying a home. Again, my situation, unfortunately something unexpected happened at the very end, so I ended up losing it. But so I ended up losing it before the deal was finalized. But that's a whole other story. But I'm still familiar with a lot of this stuff. So, and I can relate to a lot of this stuff. So one of the points they made in the study was 1 in 3 buyers paid over the asking price for their home. Another one that they got was 80% of buyers made more than one offer, which again I did too. I made multiple offers to different places, and I also ended up having to bid higher than what it was actually worth. Another point they make is 1 in 3 home buyers submitted an offer on a home sight unseen. That's dangerous. Even an apartment, man, that's dangerous. Another point they make is 1/3 of buyers searched 3 months or more for a home. That applies to me as well. That happened. Another point they make is 80% of home buyers compromised on their priorities, which again is frustrating for a lot of people trying to buy a home, because when you're in the middle of a seller's market, when you're in the middle of what I consider just this artificial bull run that they extended for at least 12-13 years, and the main beneficiaries of that were these major companies that were buying up homes by the boatload, like America's Homes for Rent, like Zillow, like who else? Open Door, like, and a lot of these companies, you know, you're trying to buy your first house, and they're not even trying to like really work with you. They don't even want to make simple repairs and adjustments to the property. They just want to buy it for dirt cheap from whoever had it before, and then throw it right back onto the market a month later for almost double the price. That's actually a true story that happened. Maybe I'll get into that more details on that another time, but it is what it is. Next point they make was fixer-uppers weren't always a bargain, and that's also another issue that was happening during this whole bull run, was the fact that a bunch of these houses were run down and they still were trying to sell them for crazy prices. But the next point, and this is a very important point, which is, it says 3 in 4 buyers have regrets about their home purchase. Compromising on their priorities inevitably led to regret among nearly 3/4 of home buyers, 72%. Spending too much money was the number one regret, with 1 in 3 saying they overspent. Again, this is the part about sellers markets that they don't want to expose out here. The amount of people, hardworking, normal people, average people, who they're just trying to get their first house or maybe second house, but typically they're trying to maybe just get their first house. They're just trying to live out what's marketed as the American dream, like trying to get their slice of the pie, and in many ways they get screwed over. So I'm actually gonna cut the video short right there. Let me know if you have any thoughts in the comment section below.